You absolutely have to ask yourself whether the opinions you have access to through YouTube about language learning aren't the result of a filtration process due to bullying. Many quality educators with a less stout heart than myself might have had valid opinions, professional opinions on how to learn languages, but simply gave up because of the verbal deluge of manure that came their way. Let's talk about one you don't hear every day, the effect of bullying on your language learning. Learning a language is comprised of many variables. There are mental, subconscious, cultural variables. It's very dense, and most people don't even realize they're there, all these forces of influence. And it seems that everywhere I look, there's a new variable that pops up, or a force of influence that gets in people's way of learning a language. But what of the effect of bullying? Or the effect of YouTube, or both of them combined? Since I started making my videos on YouTube, I noticed a strong phenomenon of online bullying. And at first I perceived it as quite shocking, I have to say. I remember, for example, making a video, this was months ago, about some influencer, a very well-known influencer, who claimed that 15 minutes a day at a language would be enough to reach worthwhile results. My core arguments against this is that, one, enabling people learn French is actually my job. Two, I actually am a language coach who specializes in this. And three, what do you know in life that gets you anywhere by doing it 15 minutes a day? It seems, at the very least, to go against the universal principles of life. If I said to you, I'm going to learn the bagpipes and I'm going to do it 15 minutes a day, you'd probably say to me, well, see you in 10 years. And you'd be right. Not only did I not agree with the influencer's 15-minute method, but I also wasn't too impressed with their French level, if I'm honest, and I mentioned both. But since it's my job to coach people in French, it doesn't take me more than a few seconds to diagnose a level or specific problems. There's actually a very interesting book you can read in which they mention the notion of thin slicing. They explain that, for example, you can come to a conclusion very quickly and it doesn't necessarily have to be a drawn-out process. One brief exposure is sometimes enough. If you're at that level where you know what you're looking for, and they take, for example, the example of firemen or policemen who have to make split-second decisions based on years of experience. And the book I'm referring to is called Blink, The Power of Thinking Without Thinking by Malcolm Gladwell, in which he explains the notion of thin slicing is the ability to make quick, accurate judgments from very narrow slices of experience, like a psychologist predicting divorce after a few minutes, or an expert spotting a fake art piece instantly. So this is what I did with this language influencer. So I expressed my doubts about that person's methods and even about that person's French level without ever naming the person in question. I never once used his name. Well, lo and behold, people were such devout followers of the philosophy that it was almost a religious-like adoration of that person. They loved him so much that they actually guessed who I was talking about, even though I've since forgotten his name. What was most remarkable to me was that there was a very strong effort to shut down with violence the words of a smaller YouTuber, myself. And it took me a while to understand what was actually happening. Number one, a lot of YouTube users act in an automatic response kind of way. So if they see a provocative title on a video, they see it as an opportunity for a fight. And dogs act like this, you might know. Dogs act like this. You know, if they see two humans running, they'll say, oh good, we're playing. You know, it's an automatic signal. So these commenters on videos like mine don't even think anymore. They just believe it's an invitation. Any challenging video is an automatic invitation for a fight. So that's the first thing I noticed. My second observation was that a small YouTuber, and I'm talking about 6 to 10 followers, barely making any videos, when they do make them, will always be the most aggressive towards a modest channel like my own. Why this happens, I have no idea, but they will be quick to hurl insults and make you believe, or try to make me believe, that they think so much about language learning and engage in it so often in an average week that anything you say or that I say is a direct insult to them. That's how much they're involved in language learning. And it becomes their duty to shut down any modest YouTuber who goes against the grain. What's always striking to me as a professional is that we have no idea who these people are. All we see is that they have very small channels, so they might be 15 years old, engage in languages once every 2 weeks. You just don't know. I'm a professional at my job, speaking as a professional, and my professional observations on YouTube. I went to university for 6 years to learn how to do this, and besides, I also built a successful language business doing this. I sell courses all over the world, but I'm still arguing with small YouTube channels for some unknown reason. All of this is very important to you, because I don't think that as a language learner, if you are a language learner, I don't think it's reasonable anymore to rule out the possibility of online bullying as a filtration process. You absolutely have to ask yourself whether the opinions you have access to through YouTube about language learning aren't the result of a filtration process due to bullying. Many quality educators with a less stout heart than myself might have had valid opinions, professional opinions on how to learn languages, but simply gave up because of the verbal deluge of manure that came their way from small YouTubers. And they probably thought, damn this YouTube thing, I can't be bothered, it's just too negative, I can't be bothered dealing with these morons. Very unfortunately for you, there is some quality truth about learning out there, but the largest common denominator has likely drowned it out. And this is also, I think, a byproduct of the YouTube language, because YouTube is its own language that rewards spectacle and engagement. To put it really bluntly, there's a majority of shallow thinkers who react positively to easy solutions or spectacle on YouTube. Long form or nuanced opinions get drowned out, and when nuanced or counterculture opinions do surface, they get attacked by a majority of shallow thinkers. I think you have to ask yourself, as a language learner, how much quality information about language learning are you having access to? How much has disappeared altogether because of online bullying, and also because of the YouTube algorithm? And if you're a language educator with a small YouTube channel whose professional views have been shut down by bullies, I would say this: stick to your principles. If you have good ideas, share them. Bullies are only attacking you because they're uncomfortable with you attacking their faith. It costs them too much effort to think. Essentially, the true light of education shall shine once more on YouTube. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Chris.